Hey guys, Mr. Mari here with the next tutorial. In this next video, we're going to be going over how to make the bricks that we're going to be breaking in our breakout game. I'm going to show you how to make it so that you can draw the custom sprite, put the sprite onto the screen into a pattern that would be fitting of a breakout game, and how to code the interaction between the ball and the brick itself. Okay, so let's get started. First, we're going to want to go ahead and build the brick itself. So just like we did with each of these other elements, we're going to go ahead and right click on the middle of the screen, and we're going to click Insert Object. We're going to be doing this as an active object, not a backdrop object, because these are objects that are going to be interacting and changing their state. They're going to be changing from being on the screen to not being on the screen after interacting with the ball. So we're going to click Active Object, going to hit OK. And again, with the crosshair, I'm going to put it somewhere on the screen, and I'm going to click so that it puts the sprite there. Now, again, it's going to give me the default diamond sprite. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click quickly on it, which opens up our sprite editor. As with the last time, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so I can have this kind of take up more of the screen. And also as last time, I'm going to go ahead and click on the clear button that looks like a blank piece of paper to give me the blank piece here. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make just a block. I'm just going to make a solid block that's a solid color. Again, like last time, I'm going to go over to the right-hand side and pick a color I want my block to be. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say we've already used green, we've already used blue. Let's go ahead and put, we've used red for the ball. So let's go ahead and let's use, I don't know, I'm going to use like a yellowish color. Yeah, let's go, here is yellow. And then I'm going to use my paint bucket tool to fill the block. And it just gives me a nice yellow square. I'm going to hit OK. And now I have the yellow square. Now I don't want this to be a perfect square. I want this to look like a brick, like it's a rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and use these bounding boxes that are around the sprite to make it into more of a rectangle shape, a little more like a brick. And there we go. It looks almost like a gold bar. And yeah, it looks pretty good. It's about where I want it to be. I actually kind of don't like how it bleeds into the background like that. So I'm going to double click into it. And like last time, I'm going to use my rectangle tool. I'm going to switch over to black for the color. I'm going to put a little outline around this. And there, that looks much better. Now I can clearly see where this brick is. Now this is nice, but I only have one of them, right? And what I want to have happen here is I want to have like a whole field of bricks here. So what I want to do here is I don't want there to be a bunch of like different sprites all choking. I don't want each brick to be its own individual sprite, because that would mean I have to code each individual sprite. It becomes kind of a pain to do that. What I can do instead is I can right click on this and I can go to duplicate. Now when I do that, it's going to ask me, well, how many rows? Now rows are what we have kind of going top to bottom. So like one row, 2 rows, 3 rows, and then columns are the things that go top to bottom like this. How many of those we want to have. So rows, I'm going to set to, let's say 4. And then columns, we're going to set that to 10 to see if we can get that go from left to right all across the screen. Now you'll see where it says row and column spacing. If you leave it at 0, it's going to just kind of clump everything together. And that doesn't give us the best look. I want to leave some space in here. So I'm going to put row spacing set to 5, column spacing set to 2. Let's see what that does for us. And that gives us a nice little field here, right? And what I can do is I can go ahead and do the same thing again. Pick another one if I wanted to, like, you know, go all the way to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate again. And rows, we're going to keep rows at 4. And columns, let's say it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, yeah, let's say about 5 more columns. And then row spacing, we said we had 5. Column spacing, we said we had 2. Hit OK. And that brings me pretty much to the end of my screen here. So now I have a nice little set of bricks that the ball can kind of play through. Now, if I go ahead and run this, you can probably already guess when I go to run the frame, it's not going to interact with them, right? It's bouncing off of everything else, but it's not even doing anything with these bricks. So what we have to do is we have to code in an interaction here. But the good news is we already kind of know how to do this. We've coded a few interactions here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back up here to our event editor, like we've done before. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a new condition because we have a new thing happening. The new thing that's happening is we're going to have the brick interacting with something, right? So our active object here. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say when this thing collides, again, because a collision is anytime two sprites hit each other, right? So we're going to have a collision. So when another object collides with the brick, and it wants to know, well, what other object? We're going to use the ball. So when there's a collision between the brick and the ball, what do we want to have happen? Well, we want this brick to be destroyed. We want it to disappear. So we're going to go ahead into our row over here, and we're going to go to where the brick is and where it lines up with the collision between the brick and the ball. We're going to right click on it, and you're going to see there's again a bunch of different options here. And what we're going to do is go all the way to the bottom, and you'll see there's actually a button that just says destroy. So when there's a collision between the brick and the ball, we're going to destroy the brick. So let's go ahead and test that out. Go to my frame, and let's see what happens. And it does it. Now this is pretty good. The ball kind of shoots through everything. I feel that this makes my game a little too easy, and it's not as satisfying as playing like regular Breakout. In fact, regular Breakout does not work this way. Regular Breakout has it so that when the ball hits the brick, it also bounces off the bricks. So we need to add that in too. So I'm going to go ahead and come back here. Now the nice thing is I don't need to put a new condition in, because what we want to have happen is we want to make sure that when there's a collision between the brick and the brick is going to be destroyed, and we want to make the ball bounce like it's done before. So again, I could right click, go to movement, and bounce. So now when there's a collision between the brick and the ball is going to bounce, and the brick is going to destroy itself. So I go ahead and run my frame. There we go. We have it now having a nice bounce effect come off of the bricks, and it makes it a little more challenging, makes it more like the game Breakout we're trying to make it be. So this is pretty good. So we have the bricks, we have the ball, and we have bouncing interactions. So we pretty much have the game made. Now we are missing one or two things. Primarily, we need to make it so when we're playing a game, we need to have a couple of things. One, we need to have some way of knowing that we're doing well, right? To keep track of how we're doing. In most games, especially old arcade games, that's a score. So what I want to do is in our next video, we're going to be adding a score to this. And we also need to have some sort of fail condition. That is some way to know that we have lost the game. So we're going to add that in our next video. We're going to learn how to make a score that goes up when the ball hits the brick, and how to make it so that when the ball goes out the bottom of the screen, we have some sort of fail condition. Thank you guys for joining me on the video here. I'll see you guys again in the next video.